Namaste and good morning. Let's start our Wednesday class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitra Varenayam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Asto Ma Satgamya Tamso ma jyotirgamya mrityorma amritam gamya Om sehna vavatu sehna bhunaktu saviryam karvavahi tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidveshavahi Om shanti 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 Om. We meet every day, learn different things. Sometimes we read from the scriptures. Sometimes we just talk in general also, before and after the class also. In fact, today also before the class with Shimiji, one of the relatives just passed away yesterday. And this occurrence happens in all of our lives, and it will happen to us too. So as the time approaches, most of the people think about what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? What are we doing here? Are we doing what we are supposed to be doing or not? Are we preparing ourselves for next incarnation or not? Because I'm sure most of you believe in these two fundamentals of Hinduism, law of karma and reincarnation. Are we really preparing for ourselves for next reincarnation or not? Do we ever contemplate on that? So that is our subject today. To understand why we are here on earth, so that we can free ourselves from compulsory future incarnations. Remember, reincarnation is not compulsory unless we make it so. So the decision is in our hands. But in order to decide whether we want to come back or not, we got to do something about it, to take some actions towards it. Our Vedic rishis, they said life is a vast school. And we are here to learn the lessons in everything, whatever is happening to us. Just like in some schools, some students, they just engage themselves in mischief. They try to distract other teachers and children. They pay no attention to what teacher is saying. And then what happens? They fail to graduate. Then they have to take the same class again and again. So it is with most of us. Life is teaching us all the time, but are we paying attention? Are we learning the lessons or not? The students who fail their exams have to return again and again in the shame to confront the same lessons. But good and serious students, what happens to them? They develop into wise people. They have learned the lessons. Some of the names we remember, we worship them. Christ, Krishna, Buddha, and other enlightened ones finished their training, graduated with honors, and went back to God. They don't have to come to this school, the school which we call school of life, unless of their own free will. So they are the masters. They return again as teachers. We call them saviors also, because they help others. So reincarnation means that you did not finish your schooling. You have yet to pass in all the grades of physical, mental, and spiritual unfoldment. Those are the subjects. That's what we have to earn for a diploma of perfection and freedom. So physical, mental, and spiritual unfoldment. Those are our subjects. And what is the cause of a failure? Why do we fail again and again? Countless lifetimes. We come back again. Not as teachers, but as students. Why? Because we do not understand why we are here. It's not important to us. Because most people think life is just for acquiring necessities and wants, seeking pleasure and human love, and surrendering at last to the grave or the cremation ground. We think that's what life is. Human beings start life programs with the set tendencies and unfulfilled desires from the past, which we call sanskars or vasanas. Then with their little remaining free will, they imitate each other. So not just their own vasanas and the sanskars, we just imitate each other's desires and actions. Sometimes we bury our own desires and vasanas, which we need to wash away. We just bury them down and we just get involved in something else, which is not even related to us. If we associate with some business person, we want to be like them. If somebody is investing in the share market, we want to just go after that too. If they are with artists, art becomes their everything. God meant us to be practical in this world. He has given us hunger. So hunger should be satisfied. But to go after food, only food and shelter and possessions, is not what He wanted us to do. Because otherwise we forget the true source of happiness. So definitely satisfy your needs. Pursue your worthwhile goals in life. But give your life to God first. What happens then? This schooling will come under His loving tutelage. God becomes our teacher. God becomes our guide. Because He is the only one who knows all the stored up karma and what is best for us. Do not resist Him. Keep God first. Unfulfilled desires are the root cause of reincarnation. Unfulfilled desires. You don't have to be a king in order to have complete fulfillment. Nor do you end desires by giving up everything and becoming a poor man. You have your own self-created destiny with its lessons to be learned. And you must play well that part for which you were sent here for. Because last week we were talking about this life is like a stage. And if everyone on the stage wants to be a king or a queen, there will be no play. Every part is important. Every role is important. Everyone should interact harmoniously for the success of the play. That's why it's called a God's Leela, a play. The ideal is to do your best. No matter what you are doing, try your best, but be objective and non-attached. That's what Lord Krishna teaches us in Bhagavad Gita, non-attached, vairagya. Pay attention to the studies life places before you. Because in all of these life's lessons, there is something to be learned. Always be watchful. What is there for me to learn? Don't play at random and create new desires. In fact, endless desires. Don't do that if you want to pass this time around. We all know that Hindu scriptures say that it takes a long time. They talk about 8 million incarnations before we become human beings. That many species. And now after gaining a human form, how can you waste so much time on things which are fruitless, which are useless? Time is so precious. At long last, your school, this schooling over here for the soul, has a proper vehicle. This vehicle as a human body, human mind, human intellect, it is full of expression of divinity. That's why they say it has manifested in the image of God in which you are made. Image of God. So that kind of a potential we have. So we should not waste it. Every morning ask yourself, what do I want? Ask yourself. And the answer should be nothing, nothing but you, God. And this kind of answer should be from the heart. We should always be ready. If you want to take me from this world now, I'm ready to go with you, God. That kind of an urge, that kind of a closeness, because we always are ready to go with our loved ones. If God is our lover, then be ready to go with the lover. That is the right attitude. Right attitude for a person who doesn't want to come back. A person who wants to finish this journey, finish all the lessons and become one with God. But it's not easy to hold on to it. Why? Because there are thousands of temptations. They will come in your path. And these temptations are, where are they coming from? From our desires. Unfulfilled desires. I haven't done this. I haven't seen this. I haven't gotten it. Unfulfilled desires. When desire comes, be guided by wisdom, not by whim. Remember that. Whatever we learn from the scriptures, whatever we learn from the gurus, that is the wisdom. So be guided with the wisdom. Remember what Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, what the Upanishads are saying. If you can control your senses and keep your mind with God, you will be free. It's not a long journey. It's not a difficult journey. It's just to use the wisdom properly. The divine person, God person enjoys everything, but is not bound by anything. Okay, it's not that a person, the divine person, is unhappy. Divine person is very happy, but not bound. A divine person appreciates the use of the objects in God's creation. But when he's through with them, he's through. He doesn't cling to them mentally. So that's why if you want to pass this time, do not harbor traces of desires. Live in this world working only to fulfill God's will. Tell him. That means tell God. When you talk to God, because in our prayers we do talk to God. Tell God that I did not ask for this body, but you gave it to me. So I will look after it and see to its needs. Use it as an instrument. Treat it as a temple, and I will serve your will on earth. If that is our attitude, you will see that how fast all the worldly desires, they just dissolve. Because God, the feeling of God, the presence of God will remain in your mind. When you are impersonal with the body in this way, that is not my body, this has been given to me by God, you become personal with God. So impersonal with the body and personal with God. Body means anything which is made out of Prakriti. Physical body, mental body, intellectual body. Okay. So when you are impersonal with the body, you become personal with God. And we want to become personal with God. Only then we will feel that, hey, when time comes to go with him, I'm going with my beloved. We should all get to this state. But it will not come by merely reading the books, nor if you fritter away your time in diversions. Most of the times we are on this path and then we get diverted. Something happens, it becomes more important to us than diversion. So we got to take it seriously. Another thing we should do, meditate. How beautifully in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling us in that chapter number 6, Atam Sanyam Yoga, how important it is to meditate. Then he goes into the detail, how to meditate, what to do during meditation, what are the steps of the progression, what can be the hurdles there, how to overcome the hurdles, all of that he explains. Meditate. Be steeped in meditation. Learn the lesson that you are not a man or a woman. When you are meditating, just rise above that. Remember that you are a soul made in the image of God. Soul doesn't have a gender. Otherwise, God will have to send you again and again until you outgrow your ignorance and realize your true self. Because this is ignorance when we think I'm a female, I'm a male. I am this, I am that. Become so conscious of God that you know he is the only reality. That kind of awareness. The more you meditate, the more that thought will be paramount. You will remember that. Because you are telling yourself again and again and again and again. Whatever we repeat, that becomes our reality. So again, become so conscious of God that you know he is the only reality. Right now, we just have a vague idea about God. And we think this physical reality is the only reality. That's why we get tempted. That's why we get attached. It seems there has always been a rivalry between these two genders, a man and a woman. But remember, they are equal. If you go through the Puranas, Brahma, from his own body, he created the Manu and the Shatrupa from the same body. They are equal. This is a Hindu philosophy. It's not just one little bone became the woman, half of the body. When we look at the Shiv and Shakti also, what is that? One half Shiv, the other half Shakti. Man and woman, they are equal, neither one is superior. So these are the bodies, because soul doesn't have a male or a female gender. Soul is the same. Be proud of what you are in this life. You are a soul that has been in both male and female bodies in different past incarnations. If you're a woman now and you envy men, you will have to reincarnate as a man. Because whatever is in your mind, prominently, that's what takes place. And if you're a man now and feel superior to women, you may have to be born as a woman. Man argues that woman is emotional and cannot reason. And woman complains that man cannot feel. This tussle keeps on going on. Both are incorrect. Women can reason, but feeling is uppermost in her nature. And men can feel, but in them, reason is predominant. What is ideal then? Ideal is to balance reason and feeling in our nature. We need both of them. Those who are too womanish do not find freedom. Neither do those who are too mannish. Each gender should strive towards a balance. How? By learning from each other. Through friendship and through understanding. Learn from the other person. Because this schooling is about learning, not about quarreling. In great saints and the gurus, we see combined the ideal masculine and feminine qualities. When you have attained that perfect reason, feeling, equilibrium, you will have learned one of the major lessons for which you were sent here. And remember, life is meant for God realization. And do not live in a one-sided, materialistic way. And in order to do this, what do we have to do? Rishi Patanjali tells us, have a self-control. Lord Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita, self-control. Self-control means control your lower self. And how do we control our lower self? Control your senses. Become a master of all your senses. Act with wisdom. That's why we do this Swadhyay. Conquer life and find freedom. The average lifespan, about 75, 80 years. That's a schooling. When death comes, you will not have finished your education and will have to come back to this school again. Unless you have finished it, unless you have found God as your partner, unless you have acquired all his wisdom and expressed all his blessings in your life. start in earnest on this path of learning. From the beginning, saturate yourself with God. Love Him more than His gifts. Okay? All the things which we have, the opulence which we have, those are His gifts. Love Him more than His gifts. The only reason we are here is to find God and go back to Him. Find God means have a connection with God. Love God first and make your body a temple of God. Deho devalya prokta. Temple of God. Our rishis, they gave us so much in this body. They said Ganesh is there. If you love Ganesh ji, Lord Shiva is there, Lord Vishnu is there, your Guru is there, you are there. It's a temple which has all the deities in there. Not only that, he said all the senses, they are devatas too. The mind is a devata, but if we keep it pure, so make your body a temple of God. Anything which we do not take it in the outer temple, don't put it in this temple. Keep that in mind. We don't even utter bad language in our temple rooms. So that means there shouldn't be any negative thoughts and negative words coming out of this temple either. Be aware of that. Do everything with the thought of Him. Perfect your love in God's love and include all humanity in your love. Because where is God? God is everywhere. When we see God like that, then our relationships become better. Our body becomes better. It's just like a garden, nothing but God. Remember God first. And this we need to start today, not tomorrow. You need strong willpower, right guidance to succeed. These days, guidance is there. But the willpower only we can cultivate. We can have all the knowledge from outside, but willpower has to be cultivated internally. So exercise your will guided by your Guru's teachings, Guru's wisdom, and you will overcome all the impediments on your path. There are two kinds of seekers. Those who are like the baby monkey and those who are like the kitten. We often talk about that. The baby monkey clings to the mother. If you have seen baby monkey, clings from the bottom, just clings. But when the mother jumps, the baby monkey can fall off because baby monkey is using his or her own strength to hold the monkey, mother monkey. But the little kitten, how does the mother carry the kitten away? In the mouth. And baby cat, the kitten, is content wherever the mother places it. The kitten has complete trust in its mother. We should be more like that. Be content. Give all responsibilities to God. God, you are the master. You decide. But in order to maintain this kind of attitude, that takes a very strong will. It's not a weak will. This takes a strong will to surrender to God's will. Under all circumstances, good health or sickness, richness or poverty, sunshine or gray clouds, our feeling must remain unruffled. If we are shaking our own emotions all the time, that means we have not surrendered. Even when you are in the coal bin of suffering, you don't wonder why God placed you there. You have faith that He knows best. He must have a reason. Sometimes a grave disaster turns into a blessing for you. Because when we are going through it, we don't see the blessing. But afterwards, we know it was a blessing. So we got to remember that. Suffering is a good teacher to those who are quick and willing to learn from it. Suffering. But it becomes a tyrant to those who resist and resent. Suffering can teach us almost anything. Its lessons urge us to develop some qualities, like discrimination. I can discriminate between the good and the bad, real and unreal, true and false. Discrimination. We can develop self-control in suffering. Non-attachment, morality, and even transcendent spiritual consciousness. That all can arise from suffering. For example, if there is a stomach ache, if we discriminate, we'll find out that I ate something wrong and must watch what I eat next time. So the pain from the loss of possessions also, or the loss of loved ones also, reminds us of the temporal nature of all things in the world of delusion. Otherwise, we think that this is permanent. We are here forever to stay. But when loved ones leave, then we understand this is a temporary place. Only for a few decades. And in these few decades, we are supposed to learn something. And if we don't learn what we are supposed to learn, then we'll come back here again. So in that sense, it's a schooling. So the consequences of wrong actions impel us to exercise discrimination. Why not learn through wisdom? Don't expect perfection or permanent happiness here. Doesn't exist here. You will not find it because it's not here. This world will always be full of troubles. Finish your lessons for good, that you may not be sent here again and again against your will. Free yourself from this school, conquer all, live for God, work for Him, be His servant, always think and will for Him. God first, everything else later. Body, mind, soul, your will, senses, everything we should use for God. Only then you will be free and ready for the journey home. And then you won't have to come back to the troubles and the difficulties or the wars of this world. When your schooling is done and the end comes, people are crying at your passing, but you are rejoicing because you know that you are done with your schooling. You know that after this, my reincarnation is voluntary. I have finished my schooling, but I don't want to go back to God until others have been freed. You can choose that. And that is a wonderful feeling because all the life lessons have been learned, but you still have a compassion for others And you want to teach others, and you want to show others what the reality is. So while we do our meditations, do our prayers, do the selfless service, take care of our duties, daily duties, keep this in mind. So underneath of all the actions, this is the base. If we live a life like this, then we'll definitely not come back here again without our will. So this is something I wanted you to think about while we discuss other scriptures also, other topics also, because this is the message, deep message our scriptures, our gurus, they give us again and again, with their life also, with their teachings also, with their wisdom also, with the stories also. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.